for tuning in to KUTV Weekend Live on this 13th day of the month of September, the year 2025. We have lots of stories that are lined up for you, but first, let's get an introduction.
This is Weekend Live with Ochieng, Cynthia.
Remember that this broadcast is also live across all our social media platforms. On YouTube, it's KUTVNEWS Kenya. On X, it's KUTV_Kenya. And joining me on the interpretation desk is Naomi Ombuye. Let's get started. Now, President William Ruto hosted over 10,000 teachers at State House in a historic forum addressing teachers' welfare and education reforms. He announced plans to hire 100,000 teachers by January 2026 and allocate 20% of affordable housing units to educators.
Students at the university, and
President William Ruto hosted teachers at State House, Nairobi, highlighting significant strides in education funding and infrastructure. He announced the education budget increase from 540 billion shillings in 2022 to 702 billion shillings in 2025, expanded teacher recruitment and improvements in university funding models as part of ongoing reform efforts.
The budget of education was 540 in 2022. As I told you, now we are at 702 billion. We've hired teachers the way you know. We built classrooms, as I have told you. We have done a funding model change the funding model to put more resources in our universities. We have started the Open University of Kenya. We have increased the number of tutors in our TVET from 6,900, to now 10,000. And we are hiring another 3,000 or 4,000 in the coming budget.
President William Ruto also highlighted education as a national priority, noting that teachers' feedback on the 2022 CBC played a vital role. He emphasized that their input continues to shape and guide Kenya's ongoing education reforms in line with government goals.
Because if there is one thing we must never get wrong, is education. Because if we get it wrong in education, we fail as a country. That presidential working party worked with our manifesto. They looked at the areas, they listened to teachers, and I want to congratulate the teachers of Kenya. You became the largest contributors of ideas that today informs what we are doing.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki highlighted Kenya progress towards the 140 student-teacher ratio, urging Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba to tackle teacher distribution challenges. He emphasized the need for equitable access to quality education across all the regions of the country.
we have made some progress in terms of the student-teacher ratio. We are not very far off from achieving the target of 1 to 40. But maybe what we need to work with under your leadership and through our ministry is to handle the issue of distribution so that every part of Kenya, every school can have access to high quality, relevant, accessible, and affordable education.
Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba expressed gratitude to teachers for their role in advancing government education reforms. He emphasized that their commitment is key to improving learning outcomes and strengthening Kenya's education system for future generations.
I want to thank you most sincerely, teachers, for supporting the government. The government reformed, especially because we are reforming our education sector to make it that much better for our children. Thank you for all that you do.
The government and educators remain united in advancing education reforms focused on teachers' welfare, infrastructure, and quality learning to secure Kenya's educational future. Edna Nerea, KUTV, Nairobi.
Still matters education. Junior secondary school teachers in Murang'a County demand full autonomy and improved facilities in their institutions to enhance teaching quality and promote better learning environment.
Murang'a Junior Secondary School teachers held a press conference meeting led by Kenya Junior Teachers Association officials demanding a separate administrative structure. They urged that JSAs should be recognized as an independent level with distinct leadership, resources, and a focused curriculum. Mr. Ronald Atamba emphasized that JSA's autonomy would enhance curriculum and co-curriculum activities benefiting learners. He called for a separate administration and urgent improvement in infrastructure, especially in science laboratories, to support teaching of science subjects.
The other thing we are calling for separate administration in terms of curricular activities. In what way? We understand that the Kenya Kwanza government is looking forward to employ more teachers, and we understand that giving junior school teachers autonomy, then it will be a great opportunity because you will have employed more teachers, because we are talking in terms of more than 100,000 staffs will be employed as a result of giving junior school the autonomy that it deserves. The other thing we are calling forward for is infrastructure.
According to Mr. Henry Ochieng, JSC's urgent need for independence and skilled teachers, citing a shortage of qualified science educators, he urged the government to address staffing gaps, noting many schools wrongly assign humanities teachers to science subjects.
Sisi kama walimu wa JS tuweze kutengewa nafasi yetu. Hata kama tuwezi kupewa uongozi sisi wenyewe kama walimu, basi tupewe hata walimu kutoka katika shule za upili ngazi ya juu. Jambo la pili, nazungumzia juu ya miundo msingi. Katika shule za junior hatuna maabara, laboratories. Hatuna maktaba. Na wanafunzi hao ni wanafunzi wa shule za upili. Katika grade ya 7 wanafunzi wa kazi ya kidato cha kwanza.
While addressing internship terms issue for JSS teachers, they emphasized that teachers on practice have completed teaching practice and deserve permanent, pensionable TSC positions, calling on education stakeholders to fully absorb these teachers into the system.
Long live the spirit of team reforms, long live! Long live!
They also criticized the practice of buying exam papers for GSS learners, stating that they are of low quality.
In other news, the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock, Mutahi Kagwe, announced in Nyeri that Kenya is set for an increased maize harvest of 70 million 90 kg bags in 2025, up from 67 million in 2024, and over double the 34.3 million bags in 2022. The government will restock the national strategic food reserve by buying directly from farmers to ensure food security and stable markets, supported by a fertilizer subsidy program that lowered price by up to 67%. Farmers saved 105 billion. The initiative also promotes climate-smart agriculture and compliance with global standards like the EU deforestation regulation.
Food security has remained stable with improved availability and reduced prices for staple foods. Our maize production rose from 34.3 million 90 kilogram bags in 2022 to 67 million bags in 2024. This year, we expect to harvest some 70 million bags, which will be a historic achievement that strengthens our food security.
In matters politics now, the political temperature remain at an inclined rate, with DCP party leader and former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua accusing President William Ruto of turning State House into a hub of political deals. Speaking during his tour of the Mount Kenya region, Gachagua claimed the president is using public resources to buy loyalty instead of delivering on development promises.
Nani ameua vijana yetu ya Gen Z? Nani amesema atapiga waliega? Adu wa nyumba itu. Adu wa nyumba itu. Adu wa nyumba itu. Tara. Ona to hadri.
Unakumbuka 2007 ilikuwa 41 against 1. Sasa wameshikana tena. Raila na Ruto. Kuyu utawanunua tu na pesa. Na ndio unaona viongozi wenu wanapeleka watu pale. Ari amari inywe morete. Inywe morete.
Adi kada adi. Au magare. Nani ameua vijana yetu ya Gen Z? Nani amesema atapiga waliega? Adu wa nyumba itu. Adu wa nyumba itu. Adu wa nyumba itu. Tara. Ona to hadri.
Unakumbuka 2007 ilikuwa 41 against 1. Sasa wameshikana tena. Raila na Ruto.
Jana aliita watu hapa Murang'a watu 5,000. Si ndio? Akawahonga na kila mtu shilingi 10,000. Hata watu wa Murang'a wapigie Kasongo kura. Inawezekana? Inawezekana? Huyu Kasongo nilisema hatuwezi zika dofu na pembe. Hii pesa ya siasa haina risiti na haina deni.
It was a fiery declaration as former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in his homecoming tour across Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga and Nyeri counties announced his ambition to succeed President William Ruto.
Kenya wameangalia, wamesema ile kiongozi ako na ushujaa na uwezo ya kufukuza Kasongo ni Mwani Rigiji. Kwa hivyo mimi nimekuja nyumbani kusema nimekubali kupigania kiti kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Harambee!
The former deputy president trained his guns on state house politics, accusing his successors of prioritizing populist handouts and endless delegations instead of addressing the economic crisis facing ordinary Kenyans.
Mimi nataka kuambia rais, wacha kuita watu chini ya hema na kuwapatia pesa kunitukana.
Gachagua declared that status, once a symbol of national unity, had been reduced to a campaign war chest for the 2027 polls, with Ruto allegedly using public resources to entrench his political survival and Kindiki fronting empowerment crusades to build his own profile.
Mimi nimekuja kuomba baraka kutoka nyumbani. Nimekuja kuomba baraka kutoka nyumbani.
The sentiments came just hours after President William Ruto hosted teachers' delegations in State House and a day after engaging Murang'a grassroots leaders, efforts critics see as strategic power consolidation.
Aliita watu hapa Murang'a watu 5,000. Si ndio? Akawahonga na kila mtu shilingi 10,000. Hata watu wa Murang'a wapigie Kasongo kura. Inawezekana?
With Gachagua now openly declaring his 2027 ambition against his former boss and taking an aim at the current deputy, the question is whether his challenge will galvanize a disillusioned opposition or further polarize a country already in the heat of state house politics.
You want to succeed, you put people around you who are more intelligent than you.
Fire, see fire.
Manuel Kutosi, Weekend Live.
Now, Kenya's banking industry has surpassed its annual micro, small and medium enterprise lending target by disbursing 153 billion shillings against the pledged 150 billion The milestone was announced during the launch of the Nature Positive Financing Assessment Report, which highlights 19.4 trillion shillings in investment opportunities across agriculture, water, manufacturing, and environmental services over the next decade. The Kenya Bankers Association has also unveiled the Center for Sustainable Financing and Enterprise Development to strengthen MSME growth and accelerate nature-positive investment, aligning the financial sector with national biodiversity strategies and global climate goals.
We are here not just to talk about financing, but to talk about survival of life here on Earth and survival of our businesses on a day-to-day basis. And that's the reason as to why we're elevating the center, because we've been on this journey of sustainable finance initiative for over 10 years as Kenya Bankers Association. We've been able to socialize banks very well, but you have to take this a step further by entrenching the center within this particular ecosystem.
Critical juncture. The twin crisis of biodiversity loss and climate change are no longer distant risks. They are material financial realities. Degraded ecosystems now threaten water security, food systems, livelihoods, while also increasing physical and transition risks.
Now at that point, we are taking a very short commercial break. We'll be back with more stories.
I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland, and I'm the main coordinator of the CAFE project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Ewa Hudoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting-edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
Miti miti, panda panda. Our planet's future is in our hands. However, there is a threat to the brightness of this tomorrow. On EarthCheck, we share the challenges, the solutions, and the hope.
I would call this a very momentous day, a very critical day.
Every episode, every story, every step we take creates a ripple. Join me, the environmentalist Emmanuel Kutosi, on KUTV every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and be part of EarthCheck. Welcome.
You are watching Weekend Live with Ochieng, Cynthia.
Now, welcome back. Kenya Kwanza leaders led by Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni and Embu Governor Cecily Mbarire have rallied Mount Kenya residents to back President William Ruto's administration. Speaking in Embu, the leaders dismissed claims of regional neglect, hitting out at critics allied to Rigathi Gachagua, and urged locals to embrace government programs, particularly upcoming health reforms.
4, 3, 2, 1,
A section of Kenya Kwanza leaders have moved to consolidate President William Ruto's support base in Mount Kenya, dismissing claims that the region has been sidelined. Speaking during a meeting with more than 1,500 community health promoters at the Kangaroo School Hall in Embu, Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni and Embu County Governor Cecily Mbarire led calls for unity behind the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Kwa sababu hii movement, naita movement kwa sababu ya ile kazi wanafanya. Movement ya CHPs huku Embu County na Kenya mzima imewezeshwa na yeye kuwa support. Na kama sisi watu wa Embu tunasema asante kwa ile kazi ametufanyia, tunasema asante kwa masoko ile ametujengea, tunasema asante kwa sababu tuko na industrial park kubwa sana kule Mashanga.
Governor Mbarire, who also serves as UDA's national chairperson, cautioned residents against being swayed by leaders she described as disgruntled.
Kutoka Oktoba mpaka sasa, we have received over 350 million from SHA. Leo ile tumetibu watu na tumerudishiwa pesa na SHA. As a result, our hospital is becoming very busy. In fact, it is the most busy maternity center in Embu County, and people are coming from other counties kuja hapa level 5 yetu.
PS Muthoni echoed similar sentiments, stressing that senior government officials will increasingly take government programs to the grassroots levels in order to counter misinformation.
Na tumeungana pamoja kutoka ma CSS, ma PSS, chairman wa parastatals, CEOs wa parastatals, directors, board directors wa parastatals, kwa sababu tuligundua ya kwamba lazima tukuje hapa chini kwa wananchi, tuongelesha wananchi, tuwaambie mambo ya maziwa, tuwaambie mambo ya barabara, tuwaambie mambo ya afya kama nyinyi, na pia wananchi wajue umuhimu wa CHPs.
The leaders also reaffirmed their commitment to improving the working conditions and remunerations of CHPs, positioning the health workforce as a key pillar of the government's agenda in Embu and the wider Mount Kenya region. The Embu meeting came amidst heightened political activity in Mount Kenya, where a growing split between leaders allied to Ruto and those loyal to Gachagua has threatened to unsettle the ruling coalition by combating political messaging with the promises of development and healthcare reforms. Yvonne Kemuma, KUTV.
Moving on, broad-based government leaders have strongly criticized Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya, accusing him of sidelining certain communities through his Tawe movement slogan. Led by National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and Farouk Kibet, the leaders questioned why a governor elected overwhelmingly by all tribes would allegedly focus on the interests of a few allies instead of the entire county. They urged residents to reject him at the ballot in the next election, insisting such a move would teach him a vital lesson in inclusive leadership. The remarks came during an economic empowerment event in Kenya Kwanza and Charangany constituencies.
Hii Trans Nzoia ni ya jamii zote. Ndio umeona daktari ameleta usawa ya makanisa bila kubakua watu tangu 1963 mpaka leo. Ati Charanganya haina stima. Hata hii shule hii shetani ameishi hapa, anatoka wapi? Mimi nataka kuzuuliza nyinyi, shetani ashindwe ama asishindwe? Wewe unanyima watu ya Cherangani stima, jamani, stima. Ati unaanzisha chama ya kusema Tawe, ati unaambia watu ya Cherangani wasipate.
Meanwhile, Cabinet Secretary for Public Service Geoffrey Ruku has expressed strong confidence in President William Ruto's re-election in 2027, citing major development projects across Kenya. During a tour in Embu County, Ruku dismissed opposition efforts and reaffirmed the government's commitment to transformative infrastructure and economic growth.
During an inspection of government projects in Mbeere North, Cabinet Secretary for Public Service Geoffrey Ruku dismissed opposition efforts to unite against President William Ruto in 2027 elections. Ruku criticized the Democracy for Change Party DCP, led by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, for failing to field a candidate and lacking cohesion. According to Ruku, he is confident that President Ruto will win 2027 general election, crediting development projects while criticizing the DCP party for failing to field candidates and showing signs of internal disarray.
Tunaona wale ambao walikuwa wanajipiga kifua ati ya kwamba wao ndio kingpin wa hii pande ya mlima. Tunaona ya kwamba hawajapata candidate wa kuwania kiti ya umbunge katika eneo ya Mbeere North. Sasa kama mnashindwa mapema namna hii na 2026 hatujafika, 2027 hatujafika, jameni mtatopoa hii safari kweli?
Ruku further emphasized that opposition is delusional and blind to the real progress that government is making. Therefore, he condemns claims that government is inactive.
Wale ambao wanasema ati wanampinga rais wa Jamhuri William Ruto, nataka kuwaelezea jameni, ile kibarua mko nayo ni kubwa na inawezekana amjui juu amchukui muda kutembea kona za nchi yetu ya Kenya. Nyinyi mkiangalia mnaangalia tu mahali nyumbani mmezaliwa hapo tu nafikiria ati Kenya iko namna hiyo. Jameni, Kenya rais ameishikilia sawa sawa, iko dhabiti.
Ruku also praised President Ruto's effort, highlighting the visible impact of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, especially in historically marginalized areas like Mbeere North, while reaffirming the government's commitment to nationwide development projects.
Tunasema sana ni asanti kwa serikali ya Mheshimiwa William Ruto na bidii ile ambao rais anafanya kuhakikisha kwamba pesa ya kufanya miradi katika kona zote za Kenya, na tunaona kona hii ya Mbeere North haijaachiliwa.
The government remains committed to infrastructure and development, focusing on projects that enhance connectivity, stimulate economic growth, and transform communities across Kenya for a brighter future. Rose Kaguku, KUTV, Nairobi.
Siaya County government expelled over 380 ghost workers from the health department after discovering forged employment documents. The CEO of Public Service Board in Siaya, Wilfred Ouma Nyagudi, led the verification, revealing only 128 of 510 workers were genuine. However, the county secretary Joseph Ogutu urged those who paid bribes to seek refunds from perpetrators. On the other hand, clinical officers Emily Nyabwala Anyango and Felix Omondi lamented unpaid salaries and financial hardships, with some workers having paid up to 350,000 for fake job letters.
We noticed several issues. One of them was inconsistencies on the sequencing of reference letters, such that any letter we issue has got a reference number. So if a reference number is outside our referencing, or that one is a letter that is not considered authentic.
It has been a bad day for us. Tulikuwa employed in January. Employment, sorry.
We work, we don't get paid, we have nothing to live for.
Now, in sports, the World Athletics Championship are ongoing in Tokyo, Japan, and Kenya has received a fresh boost in the women's 15-meter. 3 Kenyan athletes, Olympic and world champion Faith Kipyegon, Susan Lokayo Ejore, and Nelly Chepchirchir have qualified for the semi-final stage. Faith Kipyegon finished 6th in her heat with a time of 4:2:55, advancing based on time. Susan Ejore impressed by finishing 3rd in her heat in 4:1:99 to secure automatic qualification, while Chepchirchir also advanced. Well, thank you so much for your time. That is all we had for you here on KUTV Weekend Live. Naomi Mbui has been our sign language interpreter for today. All thanks to my director and everyone behind the scenes. Of course, to me as well. My name is Ochieng Cynthia. Till next time. But before then, I tell you to keep a straight upper face. Don't forget that. Till next time, my name is Ochieng Cynthia. Do have a good night.
Miti, panda, miti. Our planet's future is in our hands.